we're coming back because we need to deep dive into some bluing that's gone on all over the place. But one's come late to us, which we weren't even aware happened. And this is, of course, during last night's broadcast, where it obviously got a little frosty. We can actually hear what happened. Listen up.
Look at that. Talk about come prepared and all different seats for all different weights, Bruce.
Well, you would be a challenger, wouldn't you? But anyway...
oh, come on.
I've got a long memory. Here's Cribs coming out of the back.
Yeah.
Bang! Bang!
What's happened here?
Said with a beautiful smile from Bruce.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because I could actually see him, you guys.
Do you talk after the broadcast? Say, hey, mate, that was a bit of fun, wasn't it? Hey. Hang on, Duck, don't touch me. See, I'm going all right here. Don't jump in, right? Just sit back and let it go. Let it flow. Shut up. Jeez, you shit me with the way you carry on. Sit there. Shut up.
We don't talk.
You talk after it and go, that was a bit of fun. We had a bit of fun there. That was good. Good banter about the chairs. That was funny, yeah. Right. Brian.
That's funny, BT.
Not bad.
You right? Bill, we don't talk like you do at the pub, where you deal exclusively in rumour, innuendo, malicious gossip.
Well, this is
and
malicious
all
gossip.
You've walked in here today and you've laid on the table 5 affairs that are happening. And it is absolute nonsense.
No, I did do that.
No, you didn't quite do that.
Yeah, no. But are you all right? Are you and Bruce all right?
We love each other.
I know. You come across very well, and I love the way it's going, but there's a couple of little cracks just forming.
I thought last night it was a real love-in.
Twice in the one broadcast, though, for the public to
We have a great love
brought in on the
for each other.
BT.
Righto, Duck.
Right.
Come in now.
So, what we've got is the lockdown has caused tension everywhere.
Yes.
People have lost their ability to think properly, to actually operate as human. We only need to look at the bloke who's running the joint to see how badly you can stop operating. So, but within our own game, Purple, we have had some extraordinary one-on-one stoushes.
It's been extraordinary, Jim.
Now, run us down them, please, because I need to get my head around
I
this.
don't know where to start, actually, and I think we now need to start with number one being Bruce versus BT. We knew there was some friction coming out of the Channel 7 after a few weeks, but it's now very apparent.
You know what? Bruce has let go a few things this year, hasn't he?
He's had opinions on Gary Ablett.
Yeah.
I'm loving the new Bruce.
Bruce is more relaxed,
even more,
working with Duck and I.
All right.
But he has said a few things, hasn't he?
Well, Jim,
good. Where else?
This is the idea you had, just with all these people blowing up. Now, Damien Hardwick playing.
Idea I had. Righto. You run them down.
That wasn't you. No, you used
idea that JB had, but you've somehow got them.
I like it, though. I like it. Go on.
Damien Hardwick took on Hugh Riminton, the great journalist, a couple of weeks ago over a matter that needed to be dealt with, and the club dealt with it really well. Got himself into another brawl during the week. For those who haven't caught up with it, David Schwartz had some comments to say about Tom Lynch, and then Dimmer, in true Dimmer fashion, fired back this way.
Yeah, I thought the carry-on was completely over the top, to be fair. You know, those sort of things happen within the game 400 times, but for some whatever reason, we all went after Tom Lynch. So, you know, I found it disappointing, especially from some of the players that made comment. You know, David Schwartz was completely over the top. You know, Mark Robinson as well. So I was incredibly disappointed with that. They really should have a good hard look at themselves, because I guarantee you, there's a few players out there making comment. Mainly, I'm looking at David Schwartz here. I played a grand final against that bloke, and within 20 minutes of the game, he was crying. So, have a look at himself at some stage.
Genuinely worked
20 minutes.
Genuinely worked up.
I bet he wishes right now he didn't say that.
Yeah. Do you think so?
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't have as big an issue with it as you seem to have, and others do. You had an issue with it too, Duck.
I didn't have an issue with it. I think what Schwartz said about Lynch was wrong, personally. I agree with what Dimmer said. I thought that was a complete overreaction of a forward just doing, small things. Yes, they're frustrating, but when defenders do it, on-ballers do it to one another 20 times a game, as he said. So I thought that was over the top. He was defending his player, and then I think he went over the top. To throw back to 20 years ago and talk about a grand final, that he played against Schwartz, I just thought was unnecessary. It became personal. So I think they both got it wrong.
The timeline interests me too, because they're only 10 points down at quarter time, Mel. If he was having tears, it might have come later in the game than 20 minutes in. All right, so that's just one.
Yeah, that's number two. The number one was Brian and Bruce.
The V8 racing car driver, Craig Hutchison. He's not even trying to find fighting, but they're coming to find him. Andrew Bogut out of nowhere took him on 2 weeks ago and sent some Krispy Kremes in. And then David Schwartz won him during the week.
He did.
David Schwartz, who was then the subject of Damien Hardwick. So Schwartz has had a crack there. Eddie's just fighting with the world.
He had a stint there for a while, Ed, where he was literally taking on everybody.
But he's pulled up a bit, hasn't he?
He's put a bit. Yeah, he has actually. He's come back. Right? He's identified and focused on Nathan Brown for some reason as being the focus of some of that. I don't know what Nathan Brown's done.
A little Nath Brown.
Yeah.
How's that?
I like
TJ and I on the Sunday Footy Show, Bill, one day had a bit of a crack at Ed, but that happens. But he seemed to focus on Nathan Brown out of it.
You two did. Tony and you went pretty hard. It was over the Collingwood stuff.
Yes.
And we know Ed watches the show, so it's always
the good thing about Ed, he will always get over it very, very quickly.
Of course, these sit neatly beside the fights that you're having with all of the coaches.
Oh, no, we're going to get to them. That's still to come, Bristol. Don't worry. We will get to that.
I was trying to leave that one alone. Clarko and Horse, once the most famous of friendships back in the late 80s, Duck, where it was formed when you first joined North, and those two men were there before Clarko moved on to the Melbourne Footy Club. They've been born. It initially started with 2013 when Horse got Buddy Franklin away from the Hawks. But the comments that Clarko made about Papley staging BT, that drove another wedge into this friendship during this COVID-19.
That was an extraordinary one. I agree.
Mark Rasciuto brought down half the ex-Adelaide Crows and the guy had some views on that. Hugh Greenwood took a particular offence to it on the same weekend that Rasciuto had some comments about him. They got into a Twitter stoush. That goes back a few weeks now. My mate Luke Beveridge has taken on Caro during the course of the week. She had a story about Lockie Hunter potentially wanting out, and Bevo wasn't having a bar of that. That when Mark McGowan, the Premier of WA, he's just taken on the entire AFL system in a way that no one has ever done before, to the point, Jim, where we may as well play it now. Even yesterday, when this grand final was slipping from the reaches of WA, he just decided to have one more go at the AFL.
We have advised the Commonwealth that obviously if they meet our health requirements, well then it should be held in Western Australia. Clearly Optus is heaps better than the Gabba. Clearly if it can't be held at the MCG, it would be better here if they meet the health guidelines. I get the feeling Queensland, they've set up a committee or something and they've got, teams of people working on it. We haven't acted like that. I mean, we played a bit hard to get. That's on the basis that we have to put the health and well-being of our citizens first before the grand final.
He's played hard to get you.
Yeah, he's played so hard to get that he won't get.
And there hasn't been a case of COVID amongst any of the players during all of this, and yet McGowan is going on about that. Yes, Optus Stadium is a better stadium.
It is.
But the rules and guidelines that they make you play under in West Australia are not going to help a grand final ever be staged.
A dangerous game, that. Hard to get. I've tried that.
Have you? And
guess what?
You made yourself so hard to get.
I never got
I was just going to ask you, Duck, before we move on, the concept of playing hard to get. If you ever
my wife played hard to get.
I want to go back a step. So what, Eddie Nath Brown, what was that over?
I don't know. He's named Nathan Brown twice as the focus of the... I think the ire is directed at the Sunday Footy Show and maybe TJ and myself, but unfortunately for Nath, the eye has been personally relatable to Ed via that name.
He would like that too. No,
he's confused.
He's that sort of weird unit. He would actually like the fact that he was thrown in there for whatever reason.
He's very.
Right, who else?
We've got Kane Collins. It just goes without saying.
He could have 10 of his.
He's got 10. Tex Walker's been the focus. The AFL umpires are off Kane as well, but there's others.
Yes.
Mitch Robinson and Tom Lynch. I mean, that Tom Lynch issue where he took on Witherden in round 10 and then last week when he took on Collins, and the comments around that from Schwartz and Mitch Robinson and Tom Lynch, that that has actually been the focus of the biggest blues. And, and look, as we discovered in the first segment, Jim, when Bill brought it to our attention, of all of that, the biggest blue in the COVID-19 shutdown has been
No.
Bruce
McElvaney
versus Ryan Taylor.
The biggest, the biggest blue.
Now I get it.
The biggest
so
blue.
What he's gone with, he's gone at the top with the reminding of Bill, and then he's come on at the end because the others weren't there.
No. And what he's trying to do, Bristle, is avoid bringing up what was the biggest blue in this last
Yes.
and that's Damo and our Whispers. Old Wisp. Tim Watson, the great premiership superstar from the Essendon Footy Club Whispers.
Very personal.
Scott Personal said Damo had a jaw that was as breakable as a wine glass. And when he speaks, people listen. And Bill, you obviously did a lot of work with Whispers back in the day. He doesn't do it often, but when he does want to go, he goes.
He's actually very intelligent.
Yes.
What he says is actually quite good, but funny. And I did have a chuckle. If we all know Damo, you have a little chuckle over that one. But I remember once when I used to walk the Tam with Whispers.
Yes.
And we were working on the other station over
They were
there.
happier days, Bill.
Yeah.
You and Tim had a split, did you?
No. We're walking the Tam.
Just thought I heard that, but anyway.
And on the morning we might have said something. Well, I didn't, but Whispers said something about Spud's coaching at Richmond.
Yes.
And we did, and then of course we look up. We're walking along, and here's the whole Richmond
coaching
group running. Spud's out in front. He gets out in front a little bit, and as he goes past, he says a couple of
he gave Whispers
choice words to Whispers. And then you know how tough I am. I thought I was going to get belted by Spud. Anyway, we walked about another minute. No one said anything. I said, "Did you hear what Spud just said?" He goes, "Yeah, I did, mate." But Spud had a big crack on the Tam.
It took Bill a minute to bring it up.
Well, I did.
Everything go okay with you?
Well, what do you mean with Whispers? It was
I know what you were just saying then.
No, it's fine. No, we're good. Mate, and Whispers are good. We go round to his house. I've been to his lake house, where you won't get invited.
No.
Well, I'll tell you.
Not that I'd want to either, Bill.
A nice summary of what's going on. It's been weird. The whole thing's become weird. But I'll tell you the other thing that's become evident to me in the last half an hour.
Yep.
Fat should sleep in more often. You've come up with more zingers in these half hour than you have in the whole year.
Yes, I know. And that's it. I'm having a spell.
All right.